guess we got 9 on cap. 3 of them don't go into J30 because they can't get up early.
Drum roll.
Okay.
Ready? I'll call this meeting to order. However, I'm going to do things just a little bit different. Ashley's not going to be here tonight, but I'd like to open up with just a moment of silence, and then we'll have a little safety thing here a little bit. So, moment of silence. All right, thank you. We've been talking a little bit about safety, and so I'm just going to try this out and see what everybody thinks. In case there's a fire, the rally point, does anybody know where it's at? Outside over here at the bank. Okay. If there is a fire, anybody interested in leading this out? Joey, would you do that since you're close to the door? Okay. And I will make sure that I'm the last person out. Fire extinguishers, there's 2 here on this floor, and I think you guys know where those are at. So since we got some firemen tonight, would you look for those and grab those just in case they're needed? AED, we got several probably first responders, right? I know a few of us know how to use it. So AED is where at?
Right outside the door.
Right outside the door. Okay. And the 911 button's up here, so we'll push it to call for help. And if you guys can work together in case I need defibrillated or whatever, I would appreciate that. And I think that's all the new stuff that I'm going to talk about. So let's go ahead and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Marty Brown.
Here.
Randy Dreher.
Here.
Brent Bush.
Here.
Mr. Summerfield.
Here.
Bill Reynolds.
Present.
And I also am present. We have 2 minutes to approve for October 3rd and October 12th. You guys entertain approving those both at the same time?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. All right.
Motion passes 6-0. Treasurer's report. You have that in front of you for October 2022 interest earned from the Economic Development Health Department grant, cumulative reassessment, American Rescue Plan, and the main checking account. Total dollars earned is $100,404.17. Any questions, comments? All right. Transfers. We have several here that's reporting only. Any questions on those? Have one from the election department, the extension office. Is that right? Commissioner's Court, a couple 3 there. Circuit Court. Jail and And also, like I said, Extension Office and Veteran Services. Any concerns or comments or questions? All right, on to economic development. We have two with the highway department. We'll start with those. Melissa, do you have any comments on these? We have one basically just moving money around. Is that right? Nope. Increased cost in leasing equipment
Yes, that's
for
one.
$15,000.
Highway cap, yeah.
Okay. You guys entertain a motion. We'll just do both of these at the same time.
What are we leasing?
The lease, it's lease rental is what it is, and we rented at Boonmore for 3 months, for all 3 districts. And then we're also, gonna be leasing a mini excavator. And I still have a payment on, a Ford truck that we have in District 2.
Was there a resolution that was voted on for that $48.99? I mean, 3 commissioners signed that. Whether that money was earmarked for particular things for the highway?
For on-road services, yeah.
Pardon?
It was for on-road services, but I was told at the budget hearings that it had expired.
It expired. When I read it, I didn't find a date in it. So how's it?
2015, 2016.
Pardon?
2015,
Okay.
2016, my September
Okay.
16th.
Okay. So it's just a 1-year deal then? Okay. No other questions?
Okay, thanks, Randy. And then the other one here is increased cost of gas and fuel. So we're just moving those $60,000. Okay. Any questions on that? Is that going to get us through December, or is that just catch up where we're?
It should get us through December. Our bills, our fuel statements have been running anywhere from 20 to 24,000. Plus District 1 got new fuel tanks that can also come out of this. So I'm hopeful that this will get us for November and December.
If you were to guess a percentage of an increase, do you know what that is due to the economics with fuel more expensive than a year ago?
Yes, as in a lot. A year ago, we was paying about $3.09 a gallon, and the last that we just got was $5.54 a gallon for diesel fuel.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on? Okay. Is there a motion to approve this?
Motion approved.
Okay, Mr. Drew makes a motion to approve. Mr. Bush seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion made and approved, 6-0. Next one I'm going to talk about is courthouse electricity expense.
We have 2 transfers. We have to do the highway and then the economic development.
Okay. You want me to do economic development?
It's a transfer. You have to do the transfers together and then the additional separate.
Okay. Transfers, okay. Thank you. I missed that. All right, we also have from economic development, transferring from 4 funds, and transferring to Cayuga subdivision and capital projects. The Cayuga subdivision, $128,000, and into capital projects, $84,000. Explanation: there's a loan that has a maximum of $275,000 in funding that can be used for the Cayuga subdivision. The borrowers had a prior loan for $9,000. Account $40,000 has been used to pay the additional bills for both loans. We're setting up the fund for when the bills get paid out as part of this loan, that the balance can be carried forward yearly as non-reverting funds. Doug Hess. All right. Is there a motion? Motion to approve? How about questions or comments? Doug, can you give us a little explanation here? Maybe just what,
Sure. Doug Hess, Economic Development. Anything in particular you would like for me to address? Basically what we're, as you had mentioned in the explanation, it's a loan up to maximum of $275,000. And what we're trying to do is bring everything into one account so we can track it easier. And so we can have a line by line budget, and we know exactly what's going on. Instead of nickel and diming it from different accounts, we can track everything under one particular account.
and this is new, we've not
Sure.
really done this before, so
Sure.
I think there's maybe some hesitation here.
Fair enough.
How to move forward.
We just thought it'd be easier to track if everything's under one account instead of trying to.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Bush,
Second.
second by Mr. Dreer. Any further comment or discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion made 6-0. Approved. All right, and now we have additional appropriation. This is for the courthouse. Basically for electricity, need additional funds to pay the electric bills for November and December, and this is due to
Increased costs.
increased cost. Billings increased. Okay, so we're looking at $12,200 for this. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Marty Brown,
I'll second.
seconded by Bill Reynolds. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved, 6-0. Okay, make sure I don't miss any, Ann.
Your last one.
Okay, I think that's it, right here.
That's it.
All right, so from the Surveyor's Department, Consulting Services, the surveyor's asking for an additional appropriation of $20,000. This is for field work, mapping, data processing tie cards, Rise, Vermilion Rise, and 10 o'clock line. So
This is
the
coming
balance
up.
in the fund is $136,000, and he's asking for an additional appropriation of $20,000. And you gotta also hear the notice that was in the paper, is that correct? Okay. I will just make a comment. Ron's really working in the surveyor's department, so I think we can see what he advertises in the paper and what he provides to us in emails, the work that's being done. So I think there is substantial work being done in the surveyor's department, so.
I agree, and I'd like to make a motion, we go ahead and appropriate that.
Okay. So there's been a motion made by Bill Reynolds. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Summerfield. Any discussion?
That is our graduation fund, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0. I got everything, Annie?
Yep. And
Okay.
Ryan Keller is the one who thinks.
All right, so we're going to move to new business, and we have an individual from Rise, or Thrive, excuse me.
Great.
Ryan
Yeah.
Keller.
Thank you very much. I have a handout here to give each of you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Well, I have it memorized. Oh, thank you all so very much for allowing me to come today. My name is Ryan Keller. I'm the Executive Director with Thrive West Central. Thrive serves as the Economic Development District, the Area Agency on Aging, and the Regional Planning Organization for West Central Indiana. We've been around since 1968, working in various capacities here. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we work to further regional collaboration to save taxpayers and local governments dollars, as well as enhance the quality of life in West Central Indiana and further economic prosperity for everybody. So we were charged coming out of COVID from the Economic Development Administration out of Chicago to create a study of what economic resiliency and recovery looks like coming out of the COVID pandemic, since it kind of messed up supply chains and workforce and quality of life for folks. And so they commissioned us to do this study. We spent about 1.5 years gathering data, and we put together a plan. It's about 100 pages in total. This booklet that you see tonight is just the Cliff Notes kind of version of it. But we put together this big comprehensive study, pooling all the resources and databases together that we could. We did local surveys, we did local studies, and with that, we came out with this long-term economic recovery and resiliency plan. And it takes the 20 most kind of pressing items for our region that we think are critical for growth in the long term. So long-term resiliency within all of the counties that we serve. And we serve currently 6 counties, and we're working on a 7th. Montgomery County has petitioned us to come into the Economic Development District and join our region as an economic development player and partner. So we took this big long study, and we've divided it up into kind of 4 key areas. What are the 4 main building blocks of any kind of long-term resiliency for a community and prosperity, quality of life? So those 4 key pillars are economic development, workforce development in with that, healthcare, quality of life, and education. We think those are the 4 key building blocks. If you look at any successful communities across the board, they really are doing those 4 core areas the best. And in with that, then we took different subtopics within each of those categories to come up with 20. So briefly, I'll take you on a small kind of journey of kind of how we use this to help on a regional capacity. So for example, if you're looking in the first section there, you'll look at workforce development pillar. And in with that, there's a variety of different topics, and you'll start to see a common theme kind of throughout this. So we have the lowest per capita personal income. We're kind of spotty when it comes to long-term broadband. The unemployment was captured in time. We're actually lower than the U.S. average in unemployment right now, and we typically almost always are, which is a lagging indicator of population decline and not having enough individuals to fill jobs. So we typically have that longer lagging indicator. But when we start to get into this, we look and we see a couple common trends. One, we don't always do a great job as a region capitalizing on grant opportunities to pull revenues and tax dollars from other communities, more populated metro areas, into our more rural areas. So there's lots of opportunity to go after different types of grant funding, But often what we lack is the capital to come up with the matching component of those. We can go get a grant for $5 million, but when you have a 20% match on that, that's a large portion of money to come up with. So starting to develop methods of how, as a local government, we can start to go after different kind of workforce development opportunities, or even economic development opportunities in there that maybe we haven't done so in the past. With that, we boast as a region that we are a mecca of higher education. We have ISU, we have Rose-Hulman, we have Ivy Tech, we have, if you go to Greencastle, you have DePaul. I mean, we really have St. Mary's. We have lots of schools here. But why is our population declining? We have over 20,000 college students that are here for a 4-year period that don't always live around here. How many of those are staying? So we don't do a great job of attracting and also retaining talent. We can attract talent here. They come here for 4 years, but then they leave. And we notice that through all of our population trends, that we're just really not, connecting and keeping students. So that's one of our big kind of takeaways with our workforce pillar, our workforce development pillar of how do we start to solve this on a regional level? Because no one community is going to be able to do it on their own. So how do we start to say, okay, what does that look like? Thrive is very interested in solving these problems, but specifically that one. So how do we start to talk about this at a local level, local economic development, local economic workforce, quality of life level, to say, how do we retain college students that aren't from this area to say, hey, we have 1,000 jobs just waiting to be filled. How do you want to stick around into our area? So that's one example of the depth of study that we went into here in this type of workforce study called Resilient. That kind of feeds into the quality of life piece. And we think about quality of life long term. So let's say that we're able to get 500 college students, or just say 500 workers, to come from somewhere else and come and fulfill jobs. Where are they going to live? Housing is a major piece of quality of life that we're lacking, and I know that Doug Hess is working very hard in parts of Vermilion County to start to develop housing solutions, but that's not just enough. How are we doing this in all of our region? Because we have underbuilt really for the last 15 to 20 years within our region. We just put on a regional housing workshop the other day and had a really great consultant come out of Fort Wayne who's been working for 20 years up in their sector of 13 counties, looking at how they're building and developing housing. Just wakes up, eats, sleeps, breathes housing every day for 20 years. And they're really making some good strides now. We had her come in, speak, work with us, and Doug, you attended that workshop, and we've really walked away with some really great tangible items, and now we're working on doing a market analysis study on top of the housing study that we did for our area to say, all right, how do we really put this in action? And Thrive was also a recipient of the READY funds to do a $1.8 million housing incentive package. So we're putting that together as well and layering that on top. So we get all these pieces starting to work together, that it's great that you have folks, you have jobs, that's number one, but how do you get people to stay, number two, or how do you get people to want to come here? And then number three, how do you find a place for them to live? Because right now, I'm not sure exactly what the real estate market is in Vermilion County, but I know in some of our counties, I mean, inventory is pretty slim pickings, and when a house goes on the market, it's sold within a week. It's slowing down a little bit. In the height of COVID, it was like a few hours. But you start to look at how these pieces start to stack on top of one another, and they really layer, and they start to snowball, and they create momentum around what we're trying to do in West Central Indiana. I know it's a great place to live. I grew up here, and then I moved away and traveled all around the world and came, was lucky enough to come back. You guys know it's a great place to live because you still live here for some reason. So how do we get other people to know that this is a really quality place to live? And how do we start to layer and build these types of initiatives on top of one another? So the Resilient Plan really starts to do that, and it starts to identify what are these 20 key pieces that over the next decade we need to start figuring out. And it really is going to take that long for some of them, because we didn't get in this situation overnight. We've underbuilt housing, for example, for 20 plus years. We're not going to magically come and say, hey, we're going to build 3,000 houses in the next 2 or 3 years and solve the problem. The market wouldn't be able to absorb that kind of strain. But we may say we could build 300 houses out of 6 or 7 counties over the next, each year build 300, and then in a decade we get to our 3,000 number. And I'm just using that as a hypothetical number, so I don't know what the total is for the region yet that we need to build, but I'll have that here in a few months, most likely when we finish our market analysis study. So that's just a sneak peek at kind of what we've been doing and the type of work that we're doing here at Thrive. We're also the area agency on aging, so anybody who's 60 and older, regardless of income, can come and get access to programs and services. You can get information as you start to get to be 65 and you got to switch to Medicare, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, I don't know which plan to pick. It's confusing. You can come to us for no fee, no charge counseling, and we'll walk you right through it, start to finish, and help you figure out what you need. But we really try to put all of these resources into our office and into action throughout the region to be able to lead to a better quality of life that ultimately will keep folks here, allow them to age in place if they're elderly, but then nonetheless, if you're younger, how do you continue to thrive and prosper economically either way? So this resilient study that I passed out, that's really what it's all about, is how do we attract and retain population? How do we give a good quality of life to folks here in West Central Indiana? And I really just want to come up and share. I've been coming to every single county. We've been doing all the commissioner meetings, all the council meetings. We're going to go to some of the smaller towns within our region just to really bring awareness and educate folks on that this kind of data is out there. You don't have to do it alone. You have a regional partner in with us, and if there's something that you're really interested in going after, or some of this stuff really resonates and clicks with you as leaders of your community, the Thrive is here to help, and we're not here to go alone. We're here to partner with everybody, because going alone is just not the way to get stuff done. It takes a lot of partners to be successful in the long term, and we're here to partner with everybody. So I'm happy to field any questions you may have or comments, and see how else we can continue to serve Vermilion County.
Ryan, do you have a business card, or how does an individual get a hold of you? Just an email here?
Yep, in the very back of that has our contact info. I do have a business card if you'd like that. I might have some in my suit pocket here. Let me see. Nope, these are other people's cards.
Okay.
Let's see what I have. I was just at a meeting earlier today, and I think I gave away most of my cards, but let's see what I have. I did. I'm so sorry I'm out of cards.
It's okay.
I came underprepared. I apologize. But you can, our contact info is there in the back, and there's a QR code in the back of that as well that you can scan, and that will take you right to the full plan on our website. So if you're trying to fall asleep, you have insomnia, read that full plan. It's going to lull you right to sleep. It's really great. I've read it several times, and it about page 13 I get sleepy. But it really is. It's a pretty intensive data study, and it does give you all the information. And we're tracking this data now where we hadn't maybe tracked it before very well. This is something that are key data points that as we move forward each year for the next decade, we will update these plans, and so we'll be able to measure progress over time. So we won't just start this and then kind of let it fall off. We'll continue to measure these data points, and we'll be able to say, hey, we're moving the needle in this direction, or hey, we're really not, what we've been doing isn't working, and we need to change up our game plan and try something different.
Just the number of people that's in your office, just for curiosity.
So total staff-wise, I think we have about 51 right now.
Okay.
We have a few positions open, so if you know anybody looking for a job. But I think when we get all of our positions filled, we'll be around 55, 56 employees. And we're located in the lower level of the Meadows Shopping Center. So we get a lot of walk-in traffic from we thought that was a good spot. My predecessor got that place for us, and just because of the elderly population
A lot
that
of
walks
walkers.
in there, a lot of walkers. So we get a lot of foot traffic.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Any other questions?
Well, I just like to thank you for coming in tonight, share some light on what we're gonna be faced with in the future here.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much.
And I'm 65 and approaching
Medicare.
so I may have to be calling you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some really, really phenomenal staff that know that stuff inside and out, and they'll schedule an appointment with you. You can come in, and boy, they'll walk you through everything from start to finish, and then help you make the right choice, whatever works best for you.
Economic development is something I have an intense interest in. I think everyone does. Last week I attended a small business development workshop in Clinton, and I don't recall the name of the organization was there, but I think everybody's interfacing with Doug. I hope so. We have some coordination and okay.
We set that up. Our office set that up.
Okay, yeah. I looked for you there. They said you had a conflict.
I was in
meeting.
his.
Oh, his. Okay.
He was at my meeting that
Yeah.
day. Yep, I'm familiar with that meeting as well. So Doug partners with the Indiana Small Business Development Center, ISBDC. Courtney Ritchie Chapol is the executive director of that. So we work with them on a regular basis to help small businesses. That's really what that center is all about. And I know Doug's working very hard to get more small businesses, more entrepreneurship here in Vermilion County. And Thrive saw the need, and it actually is listed in that booklet somewhere, because we're using that to take a data-driven approach to how we're helping the region start to, pun intended, thrive. But there was a lack of access to capital for small businesses. So traditionally, if you want to start a small business, you have to go to a bank and get a loan. Well, when you're just starting out, banks don't typically like to take a lot of risk. So they were a little bit more risk averse, and I know Vermilion County has its own revolving loan fund program, but we also, that only serves just Vermilion County, and so we put in for $1 million revolving loan fund through the Economic Development Administration, and we got it. So we work with Doug and Courtney at the ISBDC to now offer capital up to, I think any one entity can get up to, I think it's a maximum of $200,000. We typically, it'd have to be a pretty solid business plan for us to loan that much on a business, but most of the loans granted out are between $15,000 and $75,000. And so we're able to help fund and get new businesses going in the region now, because small businesses, they really are the backbone of our economy and what we're trying to do here. So all of us players are trying to work together.
Great.
It's an impressive number of resources that are available, so I hope we can capitalize on that and leverage that and get some balls rolling. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Anything else?
Thank you guys for working together and doing what you're doing.
Yeah, Doug's been terrific, and we're here to serve. So any way we can help Doug and the rest of the folks all through Vermilion County, that's really what we're here for. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Well, thank you all so very much. I really appreciate it. No offense, I'm going to slide out. I'm trying to catch my kiddos before they go to bed. So if there's anything else I can do, don't hesitate to reach out. So.
Do you have any books left? Did Ashley get one or?
So I do have this book left, but I have to apologize. I was helping one of the charity organizations in Terre Haute this weekend, and I went and got all their food for an event in the back of my car, and I had some jugs of sweet tea back there, and I think one of the caps were loose, and this got a little bit right here on the top. So I'm happy to leave one, but it is a little, it's just a little wrinkled, and I apologize for that. I dug through, and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't check that before I came.
Just leave two.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
Absolutely, yeah. There we go. And if there's anybody else that'd like one on the way out, if you don't mind sweet tea on it, I know happy to share.
Thank
you. Have a good one.
Thank you all so very much.
All right, next on the agenda here is Extension Office. Becky?
Yes. So I think you have a copy of the contractual services.
Yes.
You guys had approved, this is just a formality. You had approved the
budget?
contractual services in the budget back in September, so just need an official signature. That's all that is.
All right, so only thing I need to do is just sign it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, any questions for Becky? I will say we want to wish you a happy retirement.
Thank you.
So, is it middle of the month?
Friday.
Friday.
Friday's my last
So-
official day in this, as a paid
Right, in
person.
this phase.
Yes,
So,
yes, thank you.
thank you for everything that you've done
You're welcome.
for our children.
It has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And now I'll be an official professional volunteer.
Who's your heir apparent, or do you know?
I don't know yet. Purdue will advertise starting Monday. They'll open it up for applications, so.
Kids are gonna miss you, honey.
They know how to get a hold of me.
I
Thank you,
bet they
guys.
got your number.
They do. Most of them have my cell number, literally.
All right, I'd like to also make note, we have several representatives from the fire departments. Mr. O'Hare,
They're here for a purpose.
I figured they might be.
Back during budget hearings, the lit tax, you guys said you didn't get applications. They weren't asked for applications, so they filled them out. You said you wanted them by this meeting,
Okay,
and they were sent to you in October. They're here to find out if they're getting their money or not,
okay.
and how much has been funded. You budgeted $50,000 per department, so.
And what'd you say? 50,000.
And they're here to answer questions.
Okay.
Any questions?
Do we have any questions? I would just like for you guys to introduce yourselves, because I don't know all of you, so it's just nice to see you guys here, and we thank you also for what you have done over the years and currently doing and will do in the future. So I know just recently across the river, you guys probably were responding to the Park, some of you probably responding to the Park County fire, so thanks. Joe, let's start with you over here. Introduce yourself and what department you're from.
Joey Colbert, volunteer fire department.
Number of years of service, Joe?
1997. I started in 93.
Okay.
Sean Haywood with you, the assistant chief. I've been on the department right on 20 years.
Thank you.
Doug Holt, Perrysville Fire Department, been on the department for 10 years, assistant chief.
Matt Riddle, Perrysville Fire, EMS lieutenant, about 4 years.
Cody Wilson, Black Diamond Fire Chief, been fire chief for a year, was on previous for, I think I'm on my 5th year now.
I think it's very, oh, I'm sorry, Chad. I didn't see you.
Chad Moore, Chief, Perrysville Fire Department, 32 years.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like to give them all a round of applause.
Absolutely. Brent, you're still on something, aren't you? You want to just explain what you've been on and how many years?
Well, formerly Dana, now Health. It's 36 years, I think.
Okay. So, sounds like a few hundred years of service. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate yourselves and your teammates for the countless hours that is spent training and actually working fires, and you guys put yourself in positions sometimes that are, pretty dangerous. So, big thank you from us in the community. So, answer to your question, I think it's in the budget, and it's all budget's been approved. So, as far as when those dollars come out, can you guys help me with
Maybe
that?
after the first of the year.
After the first year, I was going to say that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. So they should be receiving those funds after first year. So, and I'm sure from our discussions, we'd like to know how you use those funds. I think we know how you're going, but maybe somehow it gets changed. So we want to continue that partnership. So it just helps our community. So
You might let them know what came in last week that we voted to approve.
The Lucas devices came in last week.
Oh, super good.
The fire departments all showed up Wednesday night for training here at the firehouse, or at the courthouse. They've all been issued out. We have 2 more, one's EOC, and the other one's for the jail. The jail one will still go with jet skis. You've probably all counted in your apparatus already. Maybe the training members. They got a train-the-trainer class, basically. It's a pretty simple device to use, basically like an AED almost. These Lucas compression devices actually do all the compressions for firemen. This lit funding for some of the departments pays for a paid driver. So that's one member who's always in the firehouse. That allows that one member to actually do a quality CPR on a person that can show up by setting that up and then they use the rest. It's a lot of money between the commissioners and the council. You guys got it done fast and talking at the meeting. Basically about 90 days it took from the time that we got the idea to being purchased and delivered in their hands.
Great. So keep us posted on how that all works.
We're going to track the use of them because in the future we might be able to buy a few more.
Me personally, Rick, I never use it.
Totally understand that. But if you have to, it's like the AED. Good thing. All right. Anybody else having any public comment? No. Okay. Take a motion to adjourn. Motion made.
Second.
Second. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everybody.